first, but instead, the mines, which means Esfrost has been loaded with iron and salt, which means that's why they are confident they don't need us anymore, us from any other country, in their plans for world domination.
Deep in the Grand Nozellian mines lay a most unexpected discovery.
Most unexpected.
Crystals of pure salt.
We never would have seen this coming.
Now in possession of knowledge that could alter the course of history in Nozellia, the members of House Wolford gather at Whiteholm Castle to discuss their next move.
They were just the keepers of the knowledge that salt exists in places other than the source. Chapter 17. If griefs could passion... I wasn't fully reading that, but... Alright. Big information.
Unexpected though it may be, the salt crystals are now ours. How shall we proceed?
Carefully, for it has the potential to alter the balance of power across Nozellia.
That it does.
This is an opportunity to reshape the realm to our benefit. We must be strategic.
It's a target on our backs is what it is. There'll be no peace for us so long as we hold them.
Hyzant will set upon us with a fury we've never known if they hear of this.
Yeah, they'll be
She's right. They will stop at nothing to defend their faith.
Nor will Esfrost go quietly into the night.
No, they will not.
Then let us prepare for when word does spread,
Just like
rather
we
than
have been
fret
the entire
over how
game,
long
we're
we
now
can
caught
keep the secret.
Once again between
Whether we protect the salt as
conflicts
ours
with
or
very
find another way
important
to use it, we must act soon.
Yeah, what's up, Roland?
What say you, Your Majesty? We find ourselves at a crossroads. Not just as a kingdom, but an entire realm. Our decision will touch every life in Nozellia. I too wish to act quickly. But I beg you all for a moment alone with my thoughts.
Your caution is admirable, but ill-advised. Hesitation could cost us everything.
That much is obvious. Yet I cannot race headlong into the unknown when so much depends upon us. Benedict, I find myself unmoored as well.
We can't waste time.
I wish to hear from all present before we decide upon a course of action.
As you wish. Pray let it be swift.
Yeah.
Serenoa, answer me this.
Too long, not too short.
Can I count on you to walk the path with me? Whatever it may be.
I hope so.
I was named Lord of House Wolfort long before I was inducted into the Saintly Seven. And I've been your friend even longer still. Say no more. Take the others to Castle Wolfort and await my word. Likewise, inform me of any movements from Hyzant. As you wish.
All of our stuff
Until we meet again.
What Hyzant does. You know, we've hardly seen any of Esfrost in my playthrough, and that's not my intention at all. But somehow we've just gotten further and further into this rabbit hole. Two other stories. So just for answers about parents and Eredor knows more. Yeah, we are at a very interesting point of the game right now.
Under this tree.
This here's the land of the Jax clan, or used to be more like. That clasp on your chest, that's their sigil, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a memento from my parents. Or so I was told.
Aye, now that I'm looking for it, I can see the resemblance. Same silvery hair and everything. Villages near here met with a pretty terrible fate. They begged the armies to spare their fields. The only one who listened was one of House Wolfort's bannermen. No one was surprised, big war hero that he was. But by the time we got here, the Jax had been all but exterminated. He was digging graves for the dead, enemy and all. A hero and a gentleman he was. Names on the tip of my tongue.
Benedict.
Aye, that was it. Do you know the man? I'd like you to pass on my gratitude, if you do.
Thanks for showing me the way.
Your coin's all the thanks I require. If that's all you'll be needing me for, I'll leave you to it.
Thank you. Interesting.
You make a poor stalker.
Ain't exactly what I'm built for.
You fought in the battle here, didn't you?
Benedict swore me to secrecy. But suppose it ain't break an oath if you already know. Oh, but first I ought to tell you. You've the right to the truth. And those ain't my words. They're his. That's why he never tried to stop you from finding out about your parents.
This seems to happen.
You know of their fate?
Is that someone gets sworn to secrecy.
We drove the enemy up the cliff top.
On the occasion that they
Cornered
do
him
find
there.
out, or
The same instant we cut their
or something
leader
like that,
down,
then these are all the
a
instructions
babe
of what to
cried out
do
in the
with-
distance.
to tell them the information.
In the
As
hideout,
if
we
they
found
knew
you.
all along that
all swaddled
swearing a
up.
person to secrecy was not.
A letter
clever.
pinned to you with that same clasp on your chest.
Live strong, Anna. Stronger than any. I see now.
Your family died at our hands. If it's vengeance you want, you can take it out on me.
That doesn't sound like the Eridor I know. Do you think so little of me? To assume I would forsake my friend, bloody my hands with revenge. I know the truth at last. That is enough.
Is it, Anna? Or are you forcing it to be?
Don't be a fool. Benedict is the one who raised me. If I ever want for a father, I know where to find him. When we've won this war, I shall make sure he understands that.
All right, I'm glad we got that. Gila said that Frederica's growth and her own changes over the years. I'm glad we get to see the stories of all the other characters, too.
It's become late. We'd best keep an eye out for bandits.
You have a warrior's intuition. You needn't worry. I won't let us come to harm.
It takes no great intuition to see that this world is falling ever deeper into chaos. The reasons, however, remain elusive. Will we see our way safely through this darkness? I cannot say.
We have naught but our duty, and mine is to Prince Roland, whatever might become of House Wolford.
I find your perspective refreshing. Although it may be direct, you walk the path you've chosen with confidence. On the other hand, I often feel that I'm fumbling. I had thought Gustadolf to be a man of reason, but now I see that he will not hesitate to employ deceit to achieve his goals. In a manner of speaking, he and I are not so different. I, too, once hoped to have the influence to change the nation. At least, I told myself so. Really, all I wanted was to be free, and Frederica was simply a means to that end. As long as I had what I wanted, I had no great concern for what became of her.
Gila,
But this war has caused me to reconsider that. I realize that Frederica herself is worth caring for. She's not the sheltered princess I took her to be. Her wits are a match even for Benedict. She surprised me and shamed me. I was wrong to underestimate her, to define her by her birth and station. She represents my greatest failures as a teacher, but also my greatest success. For she has truly taken my lessons to heart. I see now there is no shame in serving another, and no shame in sacrificing my freedom for something greater. Oh, but perhaps I've shared overmuch. For some reason, I find it easy to talk with you.
The feeling is mutual.
That's what friends are for.
You are not so aloof as I thought.
I just had a thought. When the war is behind us, I may very well open my own school.
Great idea.
Of course, you would be welcome to join me. I would be master of the classroom, and you could be master of the training yard. We could teach our students the art of hawksmanship. Our riders would be first class.
That's a good idea. That's a good thing.
What should our school be named?
So when
You
things
will
have to do
come
with
and teach with me, won't you?
You've gotten so used to fighting.
Not half so aloof as I thought.
Great, nice. Let's see what everyone's up to. What is essential as frost. Dusseldorf gathers his troops at Twins Gate and rallies them when they're dealing with the Grand Marzella and salt crystals have been picked up and dispersed. True. The changing of the times swings the alarm, not even the Marzella of the sorts yet. Yeah, I'm sure they're doing great, you know, since the three nations aren't working together anymore. They look like they're ready for battle.
I am gladdened to see each and every one of you, my ironclad brothers in arms, here at Twins Gate. I have asked you here to tell you of a most fortuitous discovery. We have found crystals of salt deep in the Grand Norzellian mines. Alas, Glenbrook has taken those very mines from us. What's worse, Glenbrook's esteemed House Wolfort is led by one of the saintly seven of Hyzant. They will no doubt be informed of the salt crystals, and their precious religion will be shaken to its core. I trust you can all imagine how Hyzant will respond to such an affront. They will not go quietly, but will instead seek the crystals for themselves, that their reign of terror may continue unimpeded. Therefore, we must subdue Glenbrook and seize the mines for Esfrost if we are to counter this grave threat. But we cannot stop there, for that will only draw Hyzant to our gates. They will stop at nothing to conquer all of Norzellia in their name.
Probably.
The duchy has never been in a more precarious position. But we will not yield. We subscribe to no faith, and we bend the knee for no king. We shall greet our enemies at Twins Gate with cold, hard steel. Our newest weapon, the death knell, is nearly complete. With it, we shall strike back at Hyzant. The false goddess shall crumble beneath the sheer force of our iron will, and Hyzant reduced to rubble along with her. Raise your swords, my black iron heroes. Your names shall be cast in iron when the histories of this day are written. You shall be known as the defenders of Esfrost.
That's right. Yay. Am I cheering for them? I don't know at this point. I'm not still not cheering for anybody here. But
Oh, yes. The death snare will reduce many a falsehood to rubble, dear Gustadolf.
what are you planning? What are you planning, Svarog? I mean, he's been building the death snow, right? So. Let's see. Looks like they're getting ready for battle.
Have you heard the popular rumor, Lord Claris?
That Hyzant intends to raise an army against Glenbrook? Yes, I am familiar.
So it's reached the consortium then. Is it true?
King Roland has only just reclaimed the Crown City with Hyzant's help, not to mention restored relations with them.
Yeah, well, we might
Ordinarily,
break those
such a
if
thing would be unthinkable, but the rumors are so persistent that I think something may be afoot.
Yeah, if we
For
have the
example?
information to turn the tide of the battle, that's enough
I wouldn't
to
be so
break
restless
bridges
if I had an example to
built
give.
immediately. So, you know, who knows?
Esfrost gathers its troops at Twinsgate. Might they have heard the rumors as well?
Yeah.
Perhaps. A battle for the very soul of Norzelia may loom on the horizon.
Because the consortium is kind of like their united
But therein
nation,
lies
right?
the opportunity for merchants like
Not
us.
looking very united.
You can't wage war without a surfeit of supplies.
You're quite right about that.
And each shift in Norzelia's power balance opens new business opportunities.
Except they're looking for money.
Will the consortium continue trading with Hyzant?
Tis difficult to say. I believe House Wolfort's actions from here on will be key to the consortium's decision.
House Wolfort, you say?
Indeed. They've been involved in most every conflict between the three nations on this continent.
Honestly, you've
Why stop
noticed
now?
We have such protagonists.
I shall
We
wait
should-
and see how
we
Lord
seem to be
Serenoa
involved with
responds
literally
first,
every single
lest I
thing
make
that
any
goes
hasty
on around here.
decisions.
What's up with that? There's so many things going on, and they're always there. How does that even happen? Hierophant's Palace. With the salt crystals. Ah, yes. You know, okay, before we get into this, I was just going to say, I don't think I've followed through with the thought I had in the last episode, which is, what if their goddess is not even real? Because now at this point I'm getting suspicious why, like, the Hierophant, like, hides on the curtain, we've never seen them, and they do everything in the name of the goddess, including hoard their salt resources, and enslave the Roselle, and basically kind of just hold on to power and not really, like, share, or they don't have to share it, but they're very much like power hungry, if you notice this. I'm wondering, is their goddess even real, or is it just a bunch of people who want, in the Saintly Seven, who just want to be able to monopolize the salt trade? It's just all for profit. Because at this point, I'm getting suspicious, you know, at this far into the game in Fire Book Big Houses, with all this mention of a goddess, there was proof that there was a goddess that existed. I have no proof that there's any sort of actual divine blessing upon Hyzant. I'm actually wondering if it's actually made up. I mean, because the implication in this game is that there's magic, and therefore, if they have like gods, you expect them to actually be real, right? Physically. So, is that true? Like I said, I'm talking about the context of this world, but like, I don't know. It would be just very ironic if there wasn't even a real goddess at all, and they do all these terrible, terrible things in the name of the goddess.
Ah, Milo has sent a dispatch from Glenbrook. Deep within the Grand Rosalian mines lies... It would seem salt crystals were found within.
Impossible!
Impossible.
The discovery of salt outside the source explains Gustadolf's recent provocations.
How can you be so calm? The teachings tell us that salt is a blessing, bestowed only upon the goddess's followers. The discovery of these salt crystals is an existential threat to Hyzant.
Yes, it would be.
Salt crystals are salt too.
We need only keep word of this discovery from spreading.
Of course. But how?
The Hierophant has spoken. Minister Exham, you shall raise an army and seize the Grand Norzelian mines in Hyzant's
See, they
name.
cover it up even more.
The Hierophant asks us to invade Glenbrook?
Do you have another way to silence King Roland and his
See,
royal
this is what
hounds
I
in
mean.
House
It
Wolford?
actually kind of looks like they're making
Minister
this up as they go
Serenoa
along.
is one
I'm
of
not
us,
sure there's,
and thus is honor
like, is the
bound to
goddess
heed the
real,
Hierophant's
or
word.
the teachings just whatever these guys make up.
But we know not if he will do so, or if he will cast his lot with his precious king.
Oh, we want to
You shall
monopolize the
ask
soul.
him
Okay, we'll just
yourself
say
when
the
you surround
goddess,
Castle Wolford
has
en route to
deemed
the
the
mine.
Rosal to be blasphemous.
And if
Of
he
which
resists?
they are. That doesn't mean they're incorrect, though.
You are free to deal with him, as we do with all who forsake the goddess.
Like, in the context of the story, I am just wondering if their goddess is actually just nothing more than their excuse.
Hyzant has learned of the salt crystals. Minister Exham of the Saintly Seven wastes no time in mustering his army, which now marches on the Grand Norzelian mines. Elsewhere, Gustadolf amasses his own forces at Twinsgate in anticipation of the war to come.
Glenbrook is the one that's stuck in the middle. This has always been the country with the trade between the other two countries.
All eyes are on Glenbrook, where Roland and Serenoa's pronouncement could touch off a battle for the soul of Norzelia. After much deliberation, Roland makes his way to Castle Wolford to inform Serenoa of the decision that now weighs heavy on his heart.
Big decision. The enemy armies are literally, they have us pinned from both sides. The Hyzant is now angry because now we are also blasphemous against their goddess too. Gustadolf is doing whatever he's been doing. Now it all comes down to what we have to say. Really thoughtful music.
I appreciate you coming all this way, Roland.
I was the one who asked for your time, so it is only natural I make the journey. I wish to tell you that I finally made up my mind.
And I would hear your decision if you were willing to share it with me.
I've long pondered over the one thing that Norzelia needs most. I thought back on the Salt Iron War. 30 years have passed, yet the root of our conflict remains the same. Each nation still thinks only of itself, wishing to fill its coffers even at the expense of others. But who bears the brunt of such a war?
The people, that's what it's
The people.
That's right, it's just
Exactly
a bunch
so.
of people, like
The avarice of the
nobles
ruler
and
is an existential
bickering
threat to
and
their
arguing
loyal
about this and
subjects.
that. And who actually gets
And yet without
their
that
towns
wealth, the
destroyed
people
and
suffer
their
just
jobs
as much.
destroyed and their
They languish in
farms
poverty.
destroyed with no insurance and no
This much is
chance of
obvious.
actually being able to rebuild their lives.
But there can be no
And
winner
for
without a
what?
loser.
It is
Remove one and you necessarily remove the
just the
other.
people.
If we achieve equality, we achieve peace.
And how do you propose we achieve? No. No, surely you don't mean.
Yes, the goddess's teachings. All can live as equals under the goddess. An authority greater than any king.
I don't
The
know
model
if that's
nation
a
was in
good
front of
idea.
us all along, Serenoa. The holy state of Hyzant.
I'm not sure that's a great plan, considering we are about to debunk literally all of the goddess's teachings. I don't think that's going to necessarily make the goddess the higher power that you are thinking of that she's going to be.
I have decided that we must give the salt crystals in the Grand Norzelian mines to Hyzant.
And in so
I
doing,
don't
you'll give
agree.
them control of all Norzelia.
Hang on, I don't agree with Roland here. I think we actually, between Estfrost and Hyzant, we're better off giving them back to Estfrost. I know we just murdered all the people in there, but I I do consider Esros to be the lesser of two evils when it comes to who's doing what with the salt crystals. More fun, I just don't trust Hyzant. I just never have.
Exactly. There will be no more squabbling over salt. Norzelia will know eternal peace at last.
Unequal peace, surely. One built on the backs of a people like the Roselle, if not the Roselle themselves.
Yeah, that's exactly, first of all, the big thing, which is that they have the authority figures of Hyzant, which I think is the Saintly Seven, have no problem just saying, oh, well, these people need to repent, so we're just going to use them as a free workforce to harvest all the salt. I don't trust a country that does that. And also, like, you can't claim this is going to be never-ending peace. Eventually, it's going to split off into a bunch of nations anyway because people have to have change. You can't be stuck in the same system over and over again, even if it was beautiful and wonderful and utopian, of which this won't be. So I can't even, it's going to fall apart even faster. I don't know, Roland. I think giving in to either one of them is... It's one thing, I don't mind the idea of us sitting back on the sidelines and watching how things play out a little bit more and then deciding what we're going to do. But just kind of throwing in our favor to one country or the other is not exactly what I think is a good idea. And of the two, that's not the one I would have chosen. I'm sorry, Roland. I know we said we'd be with you till the end, but just with the foresight, I don't think this is going to have the outcome that you seem to think it was.
I am not blind to that fact. But so few will suffer for the good of so many. Nothing in this world is perfect, Serenoa. The sacrifice of the few for the good of the many.
But it's like...
It's the only clear answer, and one I would give every time I were asked.
This is exactly the train, like morality dilemma, right? If there's like 5 people on the train tracks there, and then you could change the lever and make it so the train hits one person over there. But if you did the lever, you consciously like made that decision to have that person die. But on the other hand, in the other one, if it was already going towards those 5 people, like then you ask, like, is it your fault for clearly having the opportunity to change things and not doing it? Or it's like, or because you weren't involved with it, like, at all, and you were just a bystander, is it not your fault? This is exactly that, you know. Roland's clearly picking to, I mean, I don't even know what I would pick in this situation. That's the whole point, right? There's no good option there, really. Or there's no there's no perfect option. But it seems Roland is picking the one where he'd rather pull the lever and send the train off to one person, which is very interesting. That does seem very Roland, very much like. Yeah, what would you pick? It always depends on like, it's like all the extra things, like who are the people, what's the circumstance of like how they got there. But this right here is exactly the very basic principle of what that morality question is.
Submitting to the goddess will rob you of your kingship.
Well, he doesn't care about that.
So be it. My crown, my pride. They're but small prices to pay for peace.
You are truly prepared to throw it all away.
Join me, Serenoa. Let us unite Norzelia under the holy state.
I mean, like, Esros is not like a democracy,
Roland,
but it's
this
like
is quite sudden.
the closest
I
thing
understand.
we have to that, which is what I would
Pray,
lean
take all the time you need.
I don't... Of the two, I would rather give everything to Esros than Hyzant. But
I
really
expect
don't wanna
Frederica will
give
want nothing to
everything
do
away
with this
to either
plan,
of them, at least not with us.
seeing as it forsakes her people. I am already mourning the rift this may cause between you. But I shall not be swayed. This will be my final act as Glenbrook's king.
Yeah, that wasn't a very long reign. This was not meant to be a very stable reign either. We didn't really touch upon whether people were happy with this or not.
King Roland's anguish plays plainly across his face. It pains me to see him so tortured.
I'm not surprised. The future of our kingdom, to say nothing of the entire continent, rests upon his shoulders.
Pray tell, what do you intend to do about the salt crystals?
In truth, I cannot decide.
This is always the
Salt is
difficult
too
part. What
precious
do you
to
do
be
with it?
hoarded.
The
We
thing
have
is,
a
the
duty to
truth is
share
they
it with the
exist.
people,
We
which
can't-
is...
You can't just hide
Where the
the fact
difficulty
that
lies, yes. The source
exist.
makes that all too clear.
What do we do about it? Is
Salt lies at the
decision.
heart of every war in Norzelia.
Would that the boundless salted sea of Rosellan legend still existed. We'd have no need of conflict if there were a source of salt for all.
My love, if I may, the discovery of the salt crystals has made two things plain to me. The first is that my mother spoke true in the legend she passed on to me.
And the other is that the goddess's teachings are nothing more than a lie built to constrain your people.
Just so, we are guilty of nothing.
Literally
Yet the
done nothing.
Roselle languish in the source where they are looked down upon and forced to work until they die. Entire generations lost, countless lives given to Hyzant's cruelty.
Yeah, I cannot
Cruelty
endorse
created to justify Hyzant's own avarice and lust for power.
I'm not sure I can't endorse.
Such is the ugly lie at the heart of their teachings.
Thinking of just
One revealed by a
sacrificing few
crystal
people
of the
for
mineral
benefit
they
of
hold
many.
so dear.
Those people had no choice.
The time
in
has come,
matter.
Serenoa. The Roselle must be freed.
I'm with Frederica on this one. It's one thing when a small group of people would be willing to make that sacrifice for everybody, but the Roselle have been trapped and enslaved there for generations, with no say in the matter. And for what? For telling a scientific, factual truth that there's salt everywhere because it used to be an ocean and it retreated. That doesn't sit well with me. That just where Roland is like, more people will benefit than suffer from this, but can you consciously judge and decide that to be true? That's I guess this is like, I said, like that whole that train problem. It's very dependent on the scenario, and in this particular scenario, these people have been put through enough. So I don't think I can consciously, purposefully, and like premeditatedly make a decision that they're just going to stay that way forever.
The salt crystals have brought us to the brink
point where
of war.
somebody's gonna get angry with us.
We
now
can
and
harness
leave
this
forever.
unrest, incite the Roselle to rise up and rebel against their captors.
I am with you. Believe me, I am. But you make it sound
It's
so...
not as simple as that, but
Simple. Yes, I know. But the suffering of my people is so distant for everyone else. We can no longer wait for someone to do the right thing. Help isn't coming. Why else would my own mother incite rebellion? We are alone.
I swear to you, none of this feels distant to me. The Roselle live in my domain. I am betrothed to you, my dear. It couldn't feel any closer.
And I thank the stars that I have you by my side. I do. In truth, that's why I think this time will be different. Why I'll be able to accomplish what my mother could not.
I agree. But the risk is immense. Suppose we succeed, what then?
I feel
Hyzant will not let us go quietly.
at least my
Of course not.
conscious, purposeful decision would have been to try freeing these people rather than purposely
And
ignoring their suffering
when that
for the
time
benefit
comes,
of more people.
You
I'd
can lead the
rather
Roselle to
make a
Centralia,
conscious decision where
just
all
as
the
your mother
people
wrote about in the book she
get
left
to be
behind.
free. And even if that doesn't come
Beyond
to
the Great
pass, at
Falls
least
and the
we-
Folk's
we
domain
know that we
at the
tried.
end of the Norzelia River,
We tried.
the ancestral home of the Roselle.
But that's just a legend.
We've already found one legend to be rooted in truth. Perhaps this one is as well. And if not, at least you'll be safe from harm.
I doubt Benedict will share our feelings, though.
Yeah, What is Benedict
Abandoning all we've built to embark on a journey fraught with danger in search of a legend. Yet no matter how perilous the path ahead, I would happily walk it at your side.
Alright, Benedict, your turn.
I trust you understand what a monumental effect the discovery of these salt crystals will have on
I think
Norzelia's
this is going to be
history.
the chapter where somebody's going to
Whatever
leave us
course
if
of
they don't
action we
like our
choose
decision.
will determine whether House Wolfort leaves a
The rest
legacy
of
in that history,
everything else, everybody's
or
just
is
gonna be like,
expunged from it.
well, it's fine if they don't.
How would you
like it.
proceed, Benedict?
Somebody's going to get mad here.
I would do all I could to keep it from falling into Hyzant's hands.
Okay, that I agree.
They already control the source. With the crystals in hand, they will solidify their grip on the realm and in time dominate it.
Which,
The siren song of
Roland
a
is-
false equality under their
is
goddess
okay.
shall blanket the land, claiming every domain and its people.
yeah.
Even though they count me among the
There's
Saintly
no-
Seven.
It's just in my mind.
Even
I can't
then,
imagine.
for that matters little when the
A
equality they
goddess that would-
espouse is dictated by the goddess. Or should I say,
Yeah,
the
I think the
Hierophants.
Hierophant's the real leader here, not the.
In the
I don't
end,
think there
they
is
will
a
have the
goddess.
same life and
There's
death
no way
control over all Norzelia that they now hold over the
Can
Roselle.
be portrayed as being
And
so
our wounds
benevolent,
from the battle with Esfrost have only begun to heal.
generous to all, and everyone
Hyzant
just
will
listen to
destroy
that.
us if we
Well,
wage
at the
war
same
against
time,
them in our
also
current
the
state.
teachings about subjugating.
But they stand
basically
little
committing
chance
genocide
against
against a
us if
certain
we
group of
ally with
people.
Esfrost.
There's no way that there's a
Ally
real
with
person that.
Are you of sound mind, Benedict?
Quite. Think about it for a moment. Esfrost
I
wants
don't-
nothing
I don't
more than
mind
to
that
loosen
as
Hyzant's
much
grip.
as I
They will go to
I
war
do
if it means control
not
of the
like
salt
idea of
crystals.
allying with Hyzant and just giving everything to them. I prefer Esfrost over Hyzant.
Our interests are broadly aligned, yes, but
Like I said, I'm not really
Esfrost
sure
has
if I
been
do
building
wanna
toward
give everything
precisely
to
that
Esfrost.
purpose for some
Just-
time now.
you
Just
speak
force it
of the
between
death
the
knell,
two.
the weapon that Cordelia mentioned.
Precisely. A weapon capable of reducing the goddess's shield to rubble, leaving Hyzant's capital ripe for the taking. Without that weapon, we cannot win. You need only say the word, and I shall convince Esfrost to join our side.
I appreciate your candor, Benedict, and I do not doubt you could secure Esfrost's cooperation. But I fear the harder fight is within our own domain. King Roland's heart will not be easily won.
Nope.
I bid you listen closely and calmly to what I'm about to ask.
Say that Roland's not my friend anymore.
From whence this somber tone?
I say he's taken a path.
Do you
too
believe
far.
King Roland is fit to rule?
What are you implying?
Not really. no.
Decorum is of little use when the fate of our realm is at
That's
stake,
why he
Lord
wants to,
Serenoa. Are you content to spend the
This is
rest of
last
your
action
life
of
in
the real
servitude to another?
Not another word,
Why
Benedict.
not?
Roland is more than my king. He is my
I
friend.
do agree that there's
And you
problems
are
here.
Lord of House Wolfort, whose military prowess is known to all Norzelia.
So what you want me to
Not
say
the
that
guard
military
dog
coup?
of Glenbrook and Hyzant. What else are you here to do, if not to protect your house and keep its banner aloft? But you have the potential for so much more. All Norzelia could be yours if you but desired it.
I hope so.
Treason, if not outright regicide.
Simpler
These
ambitions.
are your suggestions.
Well, not
Of course
simple,
not.
But
The
simple
blood in your
ambitions.
veins and the royal
Ruling
family's
all of
ring
Norzelia.
are claim enough to the throne. There is no need for
But
violence.
there's no
I told you
DNA
not to
testing.
speak of that
There's
again.
no way he can prove the
But you
blood
did
in
not
his
tell me
veins
to
or anything.
forget. The time to reckon with your lineage draws near. You must make a...
I've heard enough. Leave me.
Just know that I will do anything you ask of me, Lord Serenoa. I pray that you make the right choice, not only for House Wolfort, but for yourself.
Poor Sarah. There's some big decisions to be made here. It's decision-making time. Once again, House Wolford stands before three divergent paths. The time has come to lay the convictions they've instilled and make their greatest decision yet. Like I said, most of the time, we make a decision and everybody else who voted for the other ones is like, alright, I can handle that. I'm not sure that's going to be the case this time. I think if we don't, I think the stars approaching a turning point, it would recommend that you save your current progress and proceed to save screen. Oh no. If griefs could passions move. If griefs could passions move. I'm gonna have to remember not to overwrite that. I cannot overwrite that. Especially as the game gave me a warning that this is a big decision. I think somebody's gonna betray us here. I've been worried about this the entire game. Like it's not betray. But somebody's gonna
You are
get so
certain
angry with
Hyzan's
us
army
here,
marches
they're
for
gonna
the
leave
Grand
and never
Norselian
come
mines?
There is no doubt.
back. Yes,
They've heard word of the crystals.
that is correct.
It
Thanks,
was
Milo.
only a matter of time. We knew
Thanks,
this.
Milo.
Frost's army gathers at
She's just
Twinsgate
doing
as
her
well.
job. She's just the messenger.
War's breaking out over this thing, and we've got to be ready.
I guess.
How will Glenbrook respond, King Roland?
There's no need to prepare for war. I have decided that we will surrender the salt crystals to the holy state of Hyzant.
What?
Furthermore, I hereby declare that the kingdom of Glenbrook and its people shall submit to the goddess and her teachings. There is no way to bring happiness to all Norzelia with the salt crystals, which is why I have chosen a path that will allow the greatest number of people to live in equality and harmony.
How
It's not
could you?
equality.
Do you not see that Hyzant's dominion over Norzelia's salt is why we are in conflict already? Is the suffering of the Roselle not proof enough that the goddess's vaunted equality is a lie?
It's a complete lie.
She speaks the truth, my king. Handing over the salt crystals is
I'm sorry,
tantamount
Roland. I
to
really
giving
thought
Hyzant's
I
goddess
could be
free
with-
reign of
I could hang out
Norzelia.
with you till the end, but
Will you
I
so
am
readily surrender the
not
realm
ready
to the
to.
Hierophant?
I acknowledge the abdication of my
I'm not
kingdom
ready
and
to,
kingship alike. A small
purposefully
price to pay in my
decide
eyes,
to
in exchange for the
hand
security and
over a bunch
prosperity of the
people
many.
to suffer for the generations
And the
generations
sacrifice of the
forever and ever.
Roselle? Is that a small price
Just
to you?
so everybody else can live in
It
ignorant
is.
bliss.
How could you say such a thing to my face?
Yeah, that is quite
I,
bold
for one,
to say to my
oppose.
face.
I would prefer to ally with Frost and strike back at Hyzant.
Better option.
The salt deposits within the mines give us the leverage we need to convince Gustadolf to join us.
Ally with Esfrost?
Or Gustav could absolutely
dare
destroy
suggest
us
we
and then
ally
go
with
and
the man who
destroy
murdered
Hyzant
my
with the
father.
Death Snow.
I
I
see
know,
no
dude,
reason
it's-
why we should
it's
not.
personal, but-
You proposed abdicating the throne for
But
the
you're
sake of
making
the kingdom
decisions
and
for
its
the benefit
people.
of everybody else, you know.
So you should have no
But
trouble putting
things
aside
being
your own
personal should
feelings
not be a
and judging this matter
that much of a
dispassionately.
decision-breaking
I cannot believe
thing
my own ears.
for you.
I will not have you lecture me on feelings when it is not your father he murdered.
None of you can see beyond your own
I think
grievances.
I'm gonna go with Frederica, though.
It's no wonder my people have suffered for generations.
They just suffered while
We're
other
told to
people-
believe in the goddess, while our own lives are
you
thrown away
not
to make a
gonna
few
get
more
anything done.
grains of your precious salt. And now, even with proof that the goddess is a lie, you would watch us dig our own graves for your comfort.
Yeah, that's the
Lady
problem I have.
Frederica, please. We shall speak of the Roselle in due time.
Or in Roland's plan, not at all.
No, I've heard that before. Your due time is never, and I will not have you cast us aside for another 3 decades or more. All else is in disarray. If Hyzant seizes the salt crystals, we forfeit the best opportunity in decades to free my people. We know the truth. We must act upon
We
it.
do know the truth.
We
And knowing the
must
truth,
be
I
a
don't
light
think
in
I
the
could just sit
darkness.
back and watch these
We
people suffer.
cannot afford to dilute our forces when the enemy marches on us as we speak.
So we are a distraction to you?
I am merely being rational. Liberating the Roselle would be
Benedict, I
extremely
knew I would
dangerous.
get upset
We
with your
cannot
reasoning,
take
though.
such a risk. Suppose we succeed.
Because his
How do you
his
propose
reason
we
is
fend off the
purely
fury
logical,
Hyzant will
utility.
rain down upon us?
Astros would pounce
There's no
on us,
emotion in that decision
sensing
at all.
weakness at the undue burden we've taken upon ourselves.
There's no sense of empathy
Precisely.
whatsoever.
We would be without
Which is
allies,
why, even though I
and
prefer
ripe for the
Benedict's option
taking.
to Roland's, I think I'm gonna go with Frederica here.
There is another way.
And what, pray tell, would that be?
We set out alongside the Roselle in search of Centralia.
Centralia is a myth.
The legends of my people are true.
I care not one whit if they are. I will hear no talk of forsaking the Wolfort domain.
Silence! I have heard
Alright,
enough
the
to
wait
know where
time's
each of
over.
you stand. Do you all hold the courage of your own convictions?
I do.
Nothing I've heard here has swayed me.
I feel the same.
Very well. But know that a choice must be made. There can only be one way forward. Face the scales of conviction and prepare to make peace with the outcome.
This is not gonna be a peaceful. This is not gonna be a peaceful election here. Oh no. What have we done? The vote we take today may well open a rift between us. Nevertheless, it must proceed and I'm prepared to accept its outcome. Alright, everyone else is undecided. Alright, I'm convincing everybody to go with Frederica. I just cannot in good conscience go with Roland and make a plan that specifically is aware of the fact that people will suffer and just be okay with it because the fewer people will suffer. I can't decide that to make that sort of exchange of life on people's behalf. And I don't really mind Benedict's strategy to go with Esfrost. But as Frederica pointed out, the Roselle have just been an afterthought for them. Even if they're not the ones subjugating them, they're just basically turning a blind eye to it. And there's no intent to ever free them because there's just no point in investing in that for Esfrost. Right? Frederica's vision is naive to go find this place that was spoken of in legend. And for all you know, the water drained out of Nozelia and it could have gone over to Centralia. I mean, I don't know how the geographical patterns work in this universe. There could be nothing for us to find. So in the end, it really just... The decision we make here, it's just the proof that there is no good option. Somebody is going to suffer. A lot of innocent people at that are going to suffer in this war. To no fault of our own, really. Unless we do something. The Roland's plan is to do something, but then what? Now you're choosing to make people suffer, it's just fewer people. Benedict wants to take out Hyzant, but then what? They're just gonna... I just don't agree with Benedict most of the time because he just has no empathy to any of his decisions. But that's his job, that's his role in the story. It's just that if you want me to choose, I'm not going to choose that. I have the utmost respect for the fact that the three characters have balancing personality traits that balance out each other. However, I cannot personally, if I have to choose, and they're always making me choose. This whole game is about making me choose. I can't choose Benedict's side. And sure, we might sail out into the ocean and find nothing. But at least for me, I can go to sleep. I'm just the player, you know what? This world universe is as the omniscient point of view, I can just go to sleep in the night and know that, you know what, I didn't decide to make more people get hurt. That was all Esfrost and Hyzant. They were the ones that decided that they were going to start a war over resources. And meanwhile, innocent people are going to have their whole lives destroyed. But that's not on me. I don't know. I'm not even sure. I can't say what I would choose for the whole train path diverging morality question in real life. But in this scenario, in this particular scenario, I would rather go with the one where it's I didn't decide that these people were gonna get hurt. And I frankly don't think there's much we can do about that, so I would rather take the path that brings more hope, that maybe there's a small chance we can actually save everybody. Nobody has to get hurt. No, that's not gonna work. Somebody's gonna get hurt, because if we come back with news that this place is real too, Hyzant's just gonna be really mad and they're just gonna start a war anyway. So there's no world where nobody gets hurt. This game. I can't even pick like this middle option where there's just a small chance where nobody gets hurt. That's just never gonna happen. Which all we can do is just pick an option where we can try to find the truth, and perhaps to enough people the truth will speak for itself. This is hard. I think I'm still gonna go with Frederica. But now that I kind of talk it out, I can't even really justify her decision. Either way, there's going to be a lot of people who have done absolutely nothing wrong who are gonna lose everything. Maybe not even just like all their material things. Maybe not even their lives and the lives of the people they love, but just any chance of ever being able to come back, either for themselves or generations afterwards, both for the Roselle and just people in general. All right, I think it's time though. Let's go with Frederica. This game just does not sit well with me, but that's what I love about it though. Is a story is written like in real life, things are hardly ever black and white decisions. It's not ever like perfectly clear that one option is for sure better than the other. But this story writing in this game is incredible, because it's built up all the conflicts that we've done in the lore and the history of this game, and also that we've done in our battles, has just built up to this decision here that's a reflection of a very complex and complicated, but yet nonetheless a reflection of the decisions we as humans make. Every time we make any sort of decision, like every day, like, maybe not as big as this, but still, the fact that you make a decision and you have to pay the consequences. There's this whole thing about the morality trend thing. It's a little bit, this is also something I noticed, Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm gonna spoil Spider-Man No Way Home, just in case you're wondering. But, like, May tells Peter Parker, you can't just send these people back to their own world when you know they're going to die. You have to give them a chance, let them try to save them. And that's also this kind of thing about the whole, like, would you pull the lever to move which way the train goes? If you just send them back, like, you did not kill them. It's whatever is on the other side that will kill them. It's waiting for them. But then he tries to save them, and then Aunt May gets killed. That's the consequence, is that you pull the lever. You pay the consequence of whatever happens on the other side. In the end, there was never a right answer, but it's just what consequences are you willing to pay? And what chances are you willing to take? I feel like I'm getting really philosophical, but I feel like that's also the point of the game, so I don't mind it. That the point of this game is all about you choose your convictions is the main thing, right? The story is the main selling point that really sold me on this, and so I have no problem here just going all out with just like what is there here to do? To think King Roland, Lady Frederica, and Sir Benedict's convictions would diverge so greatly after all this time. Just between you and me, Lord Samuel, what do you make of their plans? I believe Benedict plans to use Esfrost's ideals of freedom to ascend to the top of all Nozelia. Oh yeah, that's right. Benedict wants Sarah Noah to be the leader too. It's like, I'm not sure that's exactly what Sarah Noah wants though. I think Roland intends to put his personal feelings aside to bring peace and equality to everyone. Not true. Well, mostly true. For his own thing, he wants to. But let's be honest, I'm not sure he ever really wanted to be king. So, I almost feel like he's playing into that a little bit. And if we're not putting his personal feelings aside, he seems very offended by Benedict's plans to ally with Esfrost because Esfrost murdered his father. So if his decision really was completely unbiased and not with emotional baggage, there would not have been so much like contention there. Frederica's wish is a human one. She desires to liberate those who have been cruelly oppressed. And that's really what I think. Her decision does not exactly. It almost seems like we're running away on just like a dream that someday we might sail around and find another homeland. And I don't know what this world is like. Maybe it will happen. Maybe it won't. Meanwhile, this war is going to rage on, and we just kind of disappeared and did nothing about it. But I do just, if I had to make a decision and live with whatever I chose to do, I think just taking this spark of hope and this belief that maybe someday things can be better for people that have never even had a chance to make their lives better. I think I'd rather go with that, even if I have to face those are the consequences. Those consequences are pretty harsh too. But I think I'd rather pick those than the consequences of the other two. In the end, you're not picking the decision. You're not picking the choice. You're not picking the path of what we're going to do. You're picking which consequences we're willing to accept. That's the real choice we're making. That's always the choices we're making, really, is when we have to make big decisions. Is you're choosing which consequences you want. But in reality, humans only act in their own best interest, even if it means turning a blind eye to the suffering of others. Lady Frederica is a strong woman to stand up for what is right. I couldn't agree more. Ignoring their plight now would be shameful, especially knowing what we are to do of their innocence. Everyone's choices are deeply rooted in their convictions. It makes me wonder if they would abide by the Scales' decision. Lord Sanoa, it will fall to you to lead everyone down the right path. Of course, I wish for all of us to walk astride the same path we always have. Oh, Sanoa, don't be naive. I don't think everyone's gonna... Aside from me speculating that somebody's gonna be angry and leave us at some point, this game made me do a save right before this. So I think that the game itself is indicating to me somebody's gonna not be happy. Lord Sarnoa, I feel that our greatest battle lies ahead regardless of which path we choose. I know that this may not be the best time to say so, but my wife gave birth to our first child a few days ago. Father before a soldier, it is your duty to protect your own house before that of Wolfort. I will not force you to march with us. I ask only that you act according to your own convictions. We must hold together if we are to emerge victorious. I ask that you see us through this final battle. This whole thing is everyone making choices. Let this guy have his choice too. I might have the time to think about it, my lord. But of course, the path before me diverges as well, and I must also take time to think before making a decision. Let us both choose a path that leaves us with no regrets. Thank you, Lord Sarnoa. It is an honor to call you, my lord. Can I go outside? I can't. There's no talking to people in this one. Alright, we'll talk with the three main ones last. Let's try to convince everybody to join.
However,
Frederica. Here we stand after a bitter fight to reclaim the crown city, only for the king to speak of forsaking it. As his subject, it is my duty to follow his decree, and yet... My lord, the choice before us feels immense. I am utterly adrift. Pray, tell me how you see the proposals from King Roland and the others. I need your guidance. Well, it takes an effort to get them to join Benedict. Listen to reason. This one should listen to reason. Okay, I wish to place my faith in Frederica's vision. Hopes of a dream. I've taken Frederica's side in all this. What fascination do the Roselle hold for you, my lord? It's not even really fascination for the Roselle so much as how can we let people suffer like this for literally no reason other than to fit the whims of other people's greed. How can we decide to just do that? Frederica has shown me a future in which no one is beholden to salt, or indeed to any nation. There is no better time to free the Roselle than now, while Ostfrost and Hyzant squabble over the salt crystals. So if the choice is to ally with the duchy, whose prize might over all else, So if the choice is to ally with the duchy, who prize might over all else, or submit to the holy state who prey upon the weak.
But
You mean to suggest that we simply do neither? Look, Hewitt, I don't, like, that part does not sit well with me either. Like I said, just choosing the consequences. Precisely. She has shown me the Rosellan legends are true. That means there's hope for us all, a hope I would bet my life upon. So long as we sit between two nations who have no compassion for the weak, I fear we will never know peace.
furthermore,
I take your point. War will spread and perhaps only end when the death knell and Elfric are unleashed upon the continent. Yeah, they're gonna blow each other up in with a huge battering ram and almost nuclear weapons before anything gets settled. I don't think this is gonna end well for anybody. So you see why I'll choose to flee with the weak rather than be party to the atrocities of the powerful. It will be a flight amidst a hail of arrows and steel, but so righteous and noble that I'll be proud to give my life for it. You've stated your case well, my lord. What is deep in that? Interesting. Yeah. I just really wish we could give a voice to people who have not had a say at all. The whole thing about this is we get to make decisions. The Roselle never have had any. I just hope that everybody has the opportunity to make something of their lives. What they do with the opportunity is up to them, but they shouldn't be robbed off the chance.
What do you need?
Each path before us demands a great sacrifice in exchange for a great reward. I'm sure King Roland, Benedict, and Frederica have agonized over the proposals.
Well,
So now we must agonize over our own decisions. They will listen at the very least. Each decision should listen to reason. They may take effort, but they can be swayed. After all that this decision about Frederica is worth, well, I guess Frederica as a person is worth fighting for her, but maybe not her decision. But let's see if we can sway her. I must say, I'm surprised by your support for Frederica's vision. I've been by her side for years, but even I must admit it is rather hopeful if I'm being charitable. Perhaps you see something I do not? In truth, I agree with you. Her plan is imprudent and ill-advised. A little bit. Which is why I hesitate to make this decision. I said, choosing consequences. I just like the consequences of the other two options less. And I do... There's part of me that still holds that naivete and that dream, this very innocent dream that that all these people can be happy and free one day. And Frederica's is the closest to that. But there's also just the side of me that's we're gonna throw everything away for a dream. But real life very rarely lets that work out. My father has defended the Roselle all these years, and I intend to carry on his legacy. Rosalia will be forever plagued by war. I wish to leave this place and create a new nation that knows only peace. Okay, don't be too naive. There's no such thing as a new nation that will know only peace. Maybe for a long time. But I think that humans are not evil by nature, I think. I choose to leave everybody. It's not exactly good, but we're not. We're just neutral. We just adapt to whatever we see around us. So I choose to believe we're not necessarily good or evil by nature. But all we know is that eventually us as a group of people, we seek change. That eventually somebody will be dissatisfied with things, even if you create a perfect world. And you need to have conflict. The conflict hopefully should not result in so many people dying and suffering. I mean, that's why we have debates and stuff like that, right? The conflicts should not... I hope that conflicts should not be forced to escalate to the points that they do for the sake of everybody else. But you can't say that it's going to be peaceful forever as well. Everything in moderation. You can't have all war or all peace. People will just... They just can't handle that. Everything goes in cycles, right? And you try to keep it not from leaning one way or too much or the other, but you can't keep everything the same either. Yeah, let's just go with the neutral option here.
I don't think so.
Okay, dang it, she didn't like that. I'll be one that would be better served at protecting your own domain first and foremost. How would you feel if you saved the Roselle at the expense of the house? I have not to say in response. Perhaps I could not match what father accomplished.
What do you need?
It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the circumstances in which you find yourself. You must see the world as it is, not as it once was. I guess she's not swayed to our side.
My lord.
Oh wait, I was gonna talk with him later.
Quiet.
I'm gonna talk to these guys at the end.
We must. I believe I've...
Sorry, can I talk to him later? I didn't mean to skip through that. I was just trying to talk to Eridor and I clicked him by accident.
Aye, lad.
I hope I can talk to him again, because I do want to see his pitch. But I might have just skipped through it. Oops. Well, I guess I'll just go through the log then, if that happens. Our sweat and blood fed this land, built into a proper domain. I see no reason why I should surrender it all to Hyzet. Yeah, me neither. And Lady Frederica, while I sympathize, asks that we risk everything for the sake of the Roselle.
Here's what I
Somebody's
think.
got the right of it, I reckon, but even that doesn't quite quiet the nagging feeling I have every time I think about our options. Okay, nobody wants to pick Frederica. Is Frederica's like the hard option here? How could you possibly support Lady Frederica's vision? Have you gone mad? See, now that I didn't sway Jula to our side, I do feel like I need to pick the right option here. It's 50-50, and I'm not even sure it's gonna work. The war will never end so long as we hold the claw crystals. We must relinquish them and break the cycle of violence. I wish to carry on, nay, surpass my father's legacy in protecting the Roselle. I need you with me, Eridor. I want to pick the first one. I'm just trying to decide with the second. This is the thing, right? This is like my test of how well do I know the characters. Do I know which one is gonna sway Eridor more? Is Eridor the kind of guy, like, if I do like a really thoughtful, like, the war will never end so long as we hold the salt crystals, we must relinquish them and break the cycle of violence? Or is he more, he's not as much as a deep thinker kind of guy, but he still does have his own thoughts on this. I wish to carry on, nay, surpass my father's legacy protecting the Roselle. I need you with me, Eridor. This just seems a little bit more like it's about you than about the Roselle. So I don't really feel like I want to pick this option. Like, it's more like, well, I just need to do even better than my father, so I can be the best at doing this. Is that what Eridor wants to see? This is the one I want to pick. I think this is the one that's going to sway me. Oh, dear, your own father. Meaning what exactly? do more for the Roselle than he did? I know things aren't what they were during the Salt Iron War, but is it not House Warfoot's duty to come to the aid of those in need? Are we not to fight injustice and tyranny wheresoever it may be? I'm not doing this alone, Arno. The risk is too great. Only if all House Warfoot unites as one, we'll have a chance to succeed. I hear you, lad.
And so,
Just give me a moment to sit with what you've said. Alright, he hasn't rejected us, which is better than what we just thought would do, though. Alright, Anna, please.
Lord Serenoa.
Benedict and King Roland would march us to war. Frederica would see Hyzant hunt us for all eternity. Her vision is not so different. So it's come to this. Ally with a one-time opponent, or flee with the Roselle.
However,
Bold proposals all, our tactics must be flawless. Anna always goes neutral, so let's see. Since you listen to music, it may take effort. Okay, so she's not that much with Roland. Alright, negotiating may prove fruitful. So you assent to Frederica's vision for the future. War is coming, a war for all Roselia. And you would forfeit your role in it? Again, I don't really want to pick the naive option. This is how we end the war. Hyzant will crumble once we free the Roselle. Yeah, because then they'll have to pay people to actually get their salt. On top of Esfrost at their door with a giant battering ram. I assume that's what it is, right? I forgot. Do we have a description of what the death snell is? I just assume it's a giant battering ram, right? If the death snell and Alfric are unleashed in the battlefield, the casualties will eclipse any war that's come before. I don't like this option though, because this admits that we are running away and leaving all these other people to die in a conflict between the death snell and the Alfric. This is how we end the war. Hyzant will crumble once we free the Roselle. There's no better time to free the Roselle than now, as Frost hasn't squabble over the salt crystals. This option is just true. This option is presumptuous, and this one is also just true. But none of them really. I don't know if I would be swayed by any of these options. This is going to be a long chapter. I just know this because this is where the big decision comes in, and the other thing is, like, in my mind, I actually would want to do, like, part of me is like, oh, I just want to reset it if I didn't get Frederica's path. But I don't want to do that in the spirit of I want this playthrough to happen as naturally as possible. And sure enough, like, a lot of decisions I wanted to have happen have not happened as a result. And I'm okay with that because of just the way things are gone. But similarly to how I'm scared some of these characters are going to be angry with me, I don't really know if I would be okay too. The thing is, these text options that we've been getting for everybody, these are also dependent on things that we've discovered and choices we've made too, right? And the points for, like, the convictions that we've been getting this whole way. So the truth is, it actually might already be too late to sway everyone to one side or another. The decision might have already been made. Just like last time, where I ended up going back to reset because I didn't want to take Benedict's path from that one time. Which I'm glad I did, actually, because I'm glad we did see Lord Simon, and the other two paths everything seemed to go fine, right? So I'm okay with that. But that just goes to show me that even if I reset, the decision might actually already be in motion now because of all the other choices. Like, these characters might they're giving me the illusion of choice. That's the other thing. I know this. The computer might have tallied up all of my conviction points and already know which way they're going to make the 4 remaining characters go. And nothing I do right now to sway them in this last chapter is going to do anything. Nothing I do is going to actually change it. The decision might already be in motion, and I, as a player, am just going to have to live with it just as much as the other characters are going to dispute it. read this again. There is no better time to free the Roselda now, while Esfrost and Hyzen squabble over the salt crystals. This might play to Anna a little bit in terms of like that strategy of she's a spy, right? She does a lot of espionage, so maybe it's not a foreign idea to her. Just like try to sneak in while we can. This is how we end the war. Hyzen will crumble once we free the Roselle. This one is the most persuasive because the whole debate, the whole counter argument to this plan is that we're running away from a war. But maybe if we do this, it will end the war. If the Destined and Elfrag are unleashed on the battlefield, the casualties will eclipse any war that's come before. I don't see that being an argument because we're suggesting we're just going to let that happen and not be there for it. I had to go with one of these two. The first two. And it's not even about which one I don't think I'd be fully swayed by any of these, but I have to pick which one do you think Anna will be swayed by.
No.
Darn it! No! I simply cannot agree. It will throw Hyzen into chaos, but only briefly. It will stop at nothing to restore order and maintain the authority of their beloved goddess. Did you forget that there are those who question her authority already? Do you not think they would seize the opportunity and revolt?
But?
Possibly, but that is a slight hope in the face of an enemy so powerful as Hyzen. They stifled a rebellion 30 years ago. Now they move to take the salt crystals and the mines in which they found for themselves. If I may speak plainly, my lord, your strategy is too fanciful. I urge you to ground it in reality if you wish to collapse the holy state. I can't... No! I should have picked the other one. When I bought this game a year ago, I've been waiting for the time to be like, oh my gosh, I wish I picked the other option. But I didn't realize how painful that would be.
My lord.
We share a common goal with Esfrost at the moment. It is incumbent upon us to seize that opportunity and rid Nozelia of Hyzen for good. Indeed, the salt crystals make an alliance with Esfrost possible, but Roland would never assent to it. He feels the weight of the crown, underestimates his own abilities, and has allowed his hatred for Gustave to cloud his judgment. Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I sympathize, but those matters should have no bearing on the welfare of our house. Perhaps you're right, but then what of Frederica's vision? Do you concede that her plans concern our house?
Quite impossible.
Concede nothing, for her strategy is out of the question. She asks us to forfeit all we've fought to build in this domain. How can I reasonably entertain such a proposition? And you'll brook no argument otherwise? None.
We must
May I remind you
decide.
that you, the Lord of House Wolfort, your duty is to your people above all else.
I believe I've
This moment
reached a
requires
decision.
dispassionate mind. I pray you have one. I'm sorry, I can't be dispassionate.
Serenoa.
We must give Hyzen the salt crystals. Co Esfrost, and unite all of Nozelia in the name of the goddess. Else we will never know peace. The Roselle will continue to suffer, 'tis true. But this will end war as we know it, and countless more will live in peace, equals.
I have made my
I
decision.
will see this done not just for the people of Glenbrook, but for all Nozelia. Roland, you are the king. Surely cooperation with Hyzen need not mean the forfeit of the kingdom.
I think not.
That is where you're wrong, my friend. My time on the throne has shown that the people need a force more powerful than the king to show it the way. Hot take. I think that the people of Glenbrook would probably rather have some sort of like constitutional monarchy or something, rather than subjugating to an even greater power. You don't understand what the people want, really. They've had a taste of Esfrost's sense of so-called freedom. But what that's shown them is that they don't really want to spend their time being ruled over by somebody who was chosen to be their leader, and they didn't really choose themselves. Like, they're chosen by their bloodline. I don't see how a goddess is going to make them feel any better from that perspective. There are many paths ahead, and many paths that lead us out of war, Roland. Cooperating with Esfrost, for instance. End the war without allying with that very Archduke who set this in motion? No. Cooperating with that tyrant ends nothing. His avarice has brought only pain and suffering to the land.
Moreover,
If anyone understood the tortuous path I've taken to arrive at this decision, I thought it'd be you, Serenoa. I don't see Hyzen as being a better option. I think Roland is literally acting very emotionally. So we have Benedict who's acting completely, as he says, dispassionately. Roland who's clearly very, very emotional. And Frederica as well.
Serenoa.
Only we can free the Roselle and expose the lie that has kept them in bondage these many years. However, we must move quickly while their gaze is fixed upon the salt crystals. I believe we can succeed. I hear your plea, yet I cannot help but wonder if you wish to act with too much haste.
But...
I know not what I can do to prove to you that I've thought this through. I swear to you, this is no fit of pique. Benedict's stratagem may also prove a chance to strike a Hyzen. Would that not be enough? It also prolongs this war and thus the immense suffering of my people. Even if we do prevail, you know as well as I that my brother is not a merciful man. He'll not spare so much as a thought for the weak. That much is true. The Roselle's plight would then be buried once more amidst negotiations between the nations. Do you see? The time is now, and we have the power to save them. Power we forfeit if we assent to Roland's plan. I'm not assenting to Roland's plan. You know what I'm realizing from this? This is going even more into this notion I have that I think it's too late for me to change anybody's mind. None of the people I've talked to were even really entertaining Frederica's plan at all. They were all being, oh, is Roland's plan better? Is Benedict's plan better? Oh, and Frederica's plan, but that's totally out of the question. And then we had to sway them. I think that already says that everybody was leaning more towards the other two plans, and I've already lost my chance to go with Frederica's. But I have hope. And I'd rather go with Benedict's plan than Roland's plan. I'm sorry, dude. Sorry, bro. I can't.
I have decided.
His is the one vision for a future that I cannot abide. Honestly, same. I can't just let his plan happen. Perhaps my concerns seem narrow when all of Rosalia is at stake, but I know you can save my brothers and sisters. I beg you to consider it. Alright, can I go outside? I can't go outside. There's literally nothing else for me to do. I think the only thing at this point, before I do this, that's gonna make me feel better is just already knowing that I'll be at peace with knowing that there's probably absolutely nothing I could have done in this chapter to sway anybody's thoughts. The path has already been chosen. The path has already been chosen. I mean, not really, but you know, percent chances and everything. I'm gonna have to do a full other playthrough if I really wanted to switch it. That's the thing. I bet this game has so many routes and stuff, right? If I go to like the menu, system, more kind of stuff. Paths travel. Have these. See, even at like, let's look at chapter 3. That one's just a bonus. That's just a sample one that goes back. Like, some of these paths look like they branch off, and other ones look like they probably would loop back. But I don't even know that for sure, you know. Okay, chapter 10 on here would loop back. But like, then what, see? There's all these other paths up here that I've missed, that I haven't played yet. Or I haven't missed out on them. But just think, if the whole thing was about convictions and like earning these points for the strengthening convictions and whatever, I could still play back the exact same path I've just done and maybe come up with a different outcome. That's what this game is complex. Alright, there's literally nothing to do now but just go. Let's just get this done. What have you all decided? And who's gonna leave me for whatever poor decision making?
It is time to cast our votes.
Not just in this chapter, but over the course of the entire game. Who's gonna get angry?
The opinions before us are many. Roland's, Frederica's, Benedict's. Which to choose?
I don't know.
Approach the scales of conviction with your token at the ready.
Alright, these three know what they want. I don't think I have. I can still win this, but I don't.
You aren't wrong, but
Alright, that's it. Well, actually, no. Jill already said she wasn't right. So Anna also said she was.
my apologies.
Stand your ground. You didn't make a decision. That's not necessarily standing your ground.
I have faith in you.
I decided that this is what's best for King Roland and Anna Salt. Does that mean you picked our side or you picked Roland's side? Oh my gosh. I don't know.
I'm with you.
Eredor picked us. Alright, so I'm trying to think like Eredor worked. If only could have done that for the other ones. Oh
The
my
scales
gosh.
of conviction will illuminate the path we've chosen.
Oh no. Oh no, what have we done? What have we done? And we even nothing's even happened yet. What have we done? I just take a deep breath. I am okay with whatever option gets chosen. I am okay. Yeah, okay, let's just do it. And I don't What? Oh, thank goodness nobody voted for Roland. I was like, we've never gotten a tie before. Okay, I did convince Hewitt and Eredor though. That's great. We've never gotten a tie. Well, this is between the two decisions I was okay with making. I just cannot consent to Roland's plan to make the fully thought out decision to let people suffer. All right, now we see what happens.
Equal votes for all sides. As such, the Lord of the House will render the
Oh my
final
gosh.
decision.
Sarah Noah. Sarah Noah. This has never happened before. There's never been a tie. Oh my gosh, we've been spending so much time trying to figure out what everybody else is gonna pick. I've not even really considered. Sarah Noah, which one are you gonna choose? Oh, we get to choose. Next time, Benedict. In another lifetime. I definitely will.
The way forward is decided. Frederica's dream is worth realizing. We will free the Roselle from the source.
I just hope this was the right decision. I'm sure that strengthens his convictions a lot. If griefs could passions move. We're saving it. We're not saving it over the other save file though. Wow, that was intense. This is the most intense fictional voting that I've ever done.
A tumultuous meeting exposes a yawning chasm between Roland, Frederica, and Benedict's visions for the future. Yet only one will emerge victorious, for such is the custom of House Wolford. As ever, the scales of conviction have the final word.
You just have the scales of conviction.
The time has come for judgments to be rendered and leaders to steel themselves for the outcome.
One last quest. Now it's time for the consequences. That's it. We're choosing consequences.
We've chosen our path. We are to free the Roselle being held in Hyzant's source.
You have chosen the one path I cannot take.
I understand your disappointment, Benedict, but the scales have spoken. And so I ask for your wisdom. Help us find a way to free the Roselle.
Hyzant will destroy everything you hold dear if you attempt to free them. That way lies ruin.
is the anger that I
Your choice
accepted.
is to turn your back on this house, to cast aside your land and the people who have built their lives upon it. I will not, I cannot endorse such betrayal.
I agree that we will be ill-prepared to defend the domain this way. Should that come to pass, I am prepared to flee with the Roselle and search for Centralia. They say it is home to a boundless salted sea. Surely a land where none need fight for salt is a land worth seeking. This is an opportunity, Benedict. We could find a new home instead of fighting the wars of old yet again.
The cycle.
Why not channel that resolve to lead the people of Norzelia as their
Don't
king?
say that in front of Roland.
You hold the power and the might. You lack only the will. With the salt crystals in hand, you shall ascend the throne. I shall see to it that you are coronated.
This is the part where everybody's getting very heated and angry now.
Then we can liberate the Roselle, or whatever else your heart desires.
Liberate the Roselle or whatever else. I never dreamed I would hear such callous words fall from your lips.
I stand by them. I care only that you and the legacy of House Wolford are safe and secure. I shall offer my counsel by force, if needed.
Well, it's not gonna work if we don't listen.
You don't mean to fight the lad.
Stand down, Benedict.
No, Anna. This is a challenge that I must accept.
All right, let's see how this
I
goes.
beg you to reconsider. If you mean to proceed with this folly, then you will do so over my dead body. You can do so much more, Lord Serenoa. The salt crystals give you the upper hand. Esfrost and Hyzant would bend the knee to you. You could unite all Norzelia under your rule.
You were right about me, Benedict. I lack the will. I have no desire to rule Norzelia. I wish to see an oppressed people
Right,
set
there's no
free
desire
and
to
nothing
rule
more.
At what cost? Would you see your loyal subjects conquered by another nation?
Like I said, choosing
I would
consequences.
forfeit my lordship. The people of Wolfort will endure without me.
Like I said,
Roselle
that
have no
statement
such
is not
champion
correct.
for their cause.
Choosing
We are the
consequences.
only ones who can set them free.
Give me the order, and I shall reduce Hyzant to rubble. Then they shall be free.
The ensuing battle will only breed further resentment, or worse, displace others who will be treated like the Roselle. War cannot solve every problem, and our liberation of the Roselle shall prove as much.
War cannot solve every problem. We've seen that since war
So,
has cycled
you now
on
take
for
blind counsel from your
centuries,
betrothed.
probably.
To think that an arranged marriage will lead to this folly.
Enough! I came to this conclusion of my own free
Everybody's
will.
getting pretty heated in terms of
I have seen the challenges that face Norzelia, and this is how I choose to respond.
easier saying.
You are every inch Lady Destra's child. Your compassion steers you headlong into every conflict. Alas, compassion is easily trampled.
It needs to have an army at its back.
It can only exist so long as it has an army at its
You
back.
said that in the trailer. So
My
I knew that
patience
he was going to
grows
get angry
thin,
with us
Lord
at some point.
Serenoa. The salt crystals give you the power to bring peace to Norzelia.
You're wrong. It is little more than the catalyst for another protracted war.
A war we can win. Let me lead you to victory.
There is always a war to be won. Do you not see the cycle at work? I will break that cycle and use my power to liberate the oppressed.
You talk of fleeing from your duty, of pure fantasy.
We need you, Benedict. Why can you not put our differences aside?
I always knew somebody out of those three was going to lose it.
This is absurd. You race toward your own destruction, and I will not be party to it. Lord Simon entrusted me with the future of this house. And I swore an oath to Lady Destra that I would protect you no matter what the cost.
You are shackled to the past, Benedict.
I would call it loyalty.
And it has come to this. For the sake of our future, I must strike you down.
Prepare yourself. You came, you missed.
Fear!
You came, you missed.
Goodbye, Benedict. I wish you didn't have to die.
I yield. Grant me the mercy of a swift death.
No. Neither father nor mother would stand for the killing of a loyal retainer. The rest of us shall make our way to Hyzant in secret. You will remain here. Lead the people out of the Wolfort domain before the Hyzantian army assaults this castle, and keep them safe.
These are your orders, in exchange for sparing my life?
These are not orders, and there is no exchange to be made. This is the last thing I will ever ask of you as my steward and loyal friend of House Wolfort.
And so, you follow in the footsteps of Lord Simon and Lady Destra, leaving me behind with the most arduous tasks. I shall rise to the occasion, my lord. I shall do whatever is required to see that the Wolfort name and its people survive. Should House Wolfort lose its lord, I shall lead the house forward in your stead.
I have no doubt you will.
Benedict left the party. Way back when they had the trailers for this game. In the trailers for Roland, Frederica, and Benedict, each one showed a scene where they would definitely did not like the choice that we made. And so I always knew it would come to this for somebody. But I am very I'm still a little bit. It hurts when you wish you could take a neutral stance, but then in real life you can't sometimes. So then you have to choose one way or another. And if you choose one way or another, not only do you have to deal with the consequences of that choice, but the people that you left behind will forever be pained and scarred by the fact that you made that choice. Right? I always suspected Benedict would be the one to to abandon us in this playthrough. But I never expected it would come down to something as close as a tie vote between Frederica and Benedict's options. If I picked Benedict, Roland would probably be the one to leave. That's the nature of this game. That's what makes it so special. The good thing, I knew from the start though I would disagree with Benedict on a lot of things. That's why I didn't promote him for a while, and then I never promoted him to full. I always suspected he would be the one to leave us, but wow, was that really close. And even now I still feel bad, because he put up a good argument too. They all did. Alright, well, we made our choice. We're gonna live with it. Goodbye, Benedict. I'm glad he didn't die, though. Alright, well, that happened.
Benedict.
Mule-headed fool.
We've each made our choices. Now we must
what
walk
about
the
you,
path we
Roland?
believe is right.
Yes.
King Roland, this decision means casting Glenbrook aside. I know I cannot ask you to come with me, but will you agree to see to the salt crystals?
No. I am sorry, my friend, but I am not worthy to oversee such an important task.
Of course you are. You have always striven to be fair and just.
You hold me much too high in regard. Our conversation earlier made me realize the truth. My faith was misguided, as were my actions. I believed exacting vengeance upon Esfrost would be proof enough I was Glenbrook's rightful king. But I gave no thought to the bloody cost of revenge. This kingdom and its subjects should not have to suffer such a selfish fool upon the throne.
Then, you will come with me?
I shall. Not as your king, but as your friend.
Well, he was quick
If I
to-
can help those in need, that is enough. Glenbrook has the geographical advantage, and the salt crystals. And there are a small handful of trustworthy nobles remaining. I'm certain they will ensure the people thrive, even without a king. Glenbrook is in too powerful a position for foreign powers to interfere.
Roland.
Don't be too quick to say that. They might not interfere with us, but you know what? If a war breaks out with giant explosives and a giant battering ram, even if they're not targeting us, the Glenbrook still could be in the crossfire of that. But why am I trying to justify this to him? He's the one trying to justify to himself why he should let go of his own plan that he voted for, and he was the only one who voted for, and join us. So you know what? I respect that. But I also respect his own plan too, even if I don't agree with it. That's the thing. Being civil, I don't agree with a lot of the decisions made here, but that's the point, really. You, first of all, understand where someone else is coming from and respect their decision even if you don't agree with it. But that's why it surprises me he's so quick to just cast it aside and join us. He put a lot of thought into his decision. And now he's saying, well, I'm sure everything will be fine without me and without my plan. Well, I guess that just makes things easier for us now.
You know you aren't leaving me behind. I've come this far by your side. I'm not abandoning you now. You have my thanks, Huette.
Frederica, don't you think you ought to make your convictions clear to your companions?
Yeah, that's right, you won the vote here.
Well, it's common knowledge by now that I'm an Esfrosti of Rosellan descent. I was a lonely child who hated that her hair was a different color from everyone else. But then I joined House Wolford, I met Jerome and witnessed the cruelty that my fellow Roselle suffered at the source. And I learned how brave my mother was, how long and hard she fought for her people's freedom. Compared to the horrors they went through, I have lived a life of privilege and comfort. I am proud to be a Rosellan, and proud to be a Wolford. I wish to be strong like my lady mother before me. And I wish to see her dream of freeing our people fulfilled. I understand the difficulties that lie ahead, but hope that I might have you all with me.
That's right.
We will always be there beside you, Frederica.
My lord, Hyzant's army has sent a message ahead of their forces.
Surrender now.
It says, the grand Norzalian mines must be conferred to the goddess as a divine offering.
Yeah?
An offering? Sounds more like an ultimatum.
You're a so-called goddess?
Precisely. If we refuse to relinquish the mines, they'll put the Wolford domain to the sword.
Then we've no time to waste. We must make ready to leave at once.
As naive as Frederica's dream is, I'm glad I picked it. Oh, Benedict.
Benedict,
I leave the rest in your hands, Anna.
all these years I have watched you. I may not be able to replace you, but I will do my best.
Loath as I am to burden you with such responsibility, that is heartening.
This ain't the Benedict I know. Come on, where's your usual glower?
You never change.
Huh, I should hope not. Defending House Wolford calls for consistency. And defend Wolford I shall, even in your absence.
I shall hold you to it, both of you.
I'm telling you, we've got it under control.
Your voice hasn't gotten any quieter.
Sorry. Parting ways with a friend always gets me worked up.
Thank you for seeing me off, you two. Farewell.
Farewell, Benedict. Alright, here we go.
What of the Hyzantian forces?
Escape.
They haven't entered the domain yet. If we act now, we could sneak around them and reach the capital.
Focused as they are on seizing the salt crystal deposits, I'd wager their domestic defenses are at a minimum.
If we can get into the capital and have the Roselle and the Source take up arms, we should stand a fair chance of helping them escape.
But Hyzant is wary of Sereno for keeping the salt crystals from them, despite his position as one of the Saintly Seven. They may be short-handed, but if they spot him, we'll never make it inside.
We can use the consortium cart to slip unnoticed into the capital.
The wagon from Claris? You sure we can trust the consortium?
No, there's
Yes.
nobody we can trust now.
If only because this benefits both us and him. In exchange, I told him what secrets we learned of Esfrost and Hyzant.
You mean you told him of Dragan's murder and the illicit salt trade? I hope he understands those secrets must never leave his lips.
He understands. Once people learn of the salt crystals,
They won't leave
Norzelia
his
will
lips
change,
for now.
and the consortium will have a new role to serve. Now that they know, they will be better prepared to negotiate their position. They agreed to help us as a show of gratitude.
You've thought this through. Well done, Anna.
What of our things, Gila?
Stored safely within the cart, of course.
Things? What things?
The explosives we found in the tunnel.
After we've gotten the Roselle to rise up, we'll set sail from the harbor and make for the Folk's domain, to the Great Falls. To make sure no one follows us, we'll blow up all the other ships in the harbor as we leave.
Frederica and I devised the plan ourselves.
Resources and 25 ships.
A perfect way to make an escape with so many people.
Wise of you to make for the Falk's domain. It's distant enough. You'll have plenty of time to hide.
Aye, about as far south as you can get. No better place if your end goal is Centralia, too.
It's a good plan. We shall do what we can to make sure it succeeds.
Crafty as ever, you Wolforts. I am glad to be on your side.
But one problem remains. How do we get the Roselle and the Source to turn against their captors? If we can't win their trust, all this is for naught.
They are used
We
to
need
the
some
same
way of
thing,
persuading
having
them.
another life with
And
them.
quickly, too.
Let me worry about that. I can find the words to convince them. I am my mother's daughter after all.
All right. I know you'll figure something out, Frederica.
There is one more thing. Huette, I'll need to send a bird.
Of course, my lady. Where to?
The Rosellan village. I'd like to tell Jerome and the others of our plan. I would have them meet us at the Great Falls.
Agreeing to such a thing means they will have to give up the lives they enjoy now. Do you think they will come?
I cannot say. Regardless, I owe it to them to let them know Hyzant is invading.
Indeed. Let us send word and see what they have to say.
Upon learning of the salt crystal deposits, Hyzant quickly musters her forces. They march upon the Wolfort domain, intent on seizing control of the mine. Serenoa decides to take this as an opportunity to free the Roselle enslaved at the Source. But that decision leads to Benedict's departure from House Wolfort. Still grappling with grief over parting ways with their friend, Serenoa and the others make for the Hyzantian capital. There, amidst a land in turmoil, they hope to help the Roselle rise up against their oppressors.
That's it. We did do a lot there. I just want to say about the exchange between Serenoa and Benedict as well. It just goes to show that how hard it is to maintain neutrality in any discussion. If you think about it, Serenoa has always been the neutral voice in all of these decisions. And only now for the first time, just because there's a tie, it's still got to let me choose which one to pick. But Serenoa, he's always been very neutral. I just noticed though, like when Benedict was arguing with him, he got very defensive. He had his arguments for the other side ready very quickly. And very passionately too, considering that he was the neutral party who was willing to take whatever choice won. As soon as the choice was taken, he was pretty fierce to back it up. Which, out of principle, yes, but having the arguments to back it, it just shows that, just keeping that in mind, it's like, when you're arguing something, like, sometimes when somebody argues their side very, very well, there's a tendency to suddenly swing to the other side very quickly as well, which works out in here, but just like an overall thing, like, it's just hard to maintain a neutral sort of argument. There's no way either of them were gonna, Serenoa or Benedict were gonna change their opinions, but it just kind of, I just noticed like how much how defensively he was able to argue the other side when he was just a neutral party like seconds ago. Just to be aware of that. Within the woods, a man bids farewell to his Rosellan companions and his handy patches of flowers. Who is this?
Must you go, sir?
I regret to say I must. I have been idle for long enough.
Looks like Sir Maxwell.
But know this. I shall forever be indebted to the Roselle. I know not why fate delivered my battered body to the shores of your
It
village.
is Sir Maxwell.
But I am fortunate that it did.
I bet I knew he might come back someday, but But I wasn't sure because we saw his body with all the blood spilling out. So I thought, oh, maybe he actually is dead. Dude, he's alive. That's great. You know what? If Sir Maxwell's alive, I'm sure Avlora is alive too. We didn't even see her body covered in blood. We just know that she drifted off in the river. I'm sure that means there's an even higher chance she's alive than Sir Maxwell who is alive. But that's great. Dude, he's alive. That's
I owe
great.
my life to your kindness. Thank you.
Show up in the main story. I feel better when he's okay.
You'll have no debt with us. We only did what was right. But where will you go? Safety is a luxury few are afforded these days.
The war rages still, and so long as it does, I must fight with every inch of my being to end it.
A single man can't fix this tangled mess of a world.
Ah, but I am not alone. Every moment my allies risk life and limb without me is a moment I owe them for their bravery. I must rejoin them at once.
I see there's no
I'll be okay
convincing
with
you
our decision
otherwise.
then if you're looking for us.
Very well. But we expect to hear news of your victory soon.
I sense the world is on the cusp of great change. Change for the better. When it comes, let us celebrate its arrival together.
That has to be Sir Maxwell, right? Because the hat. I mean, I know the hat is not like a feature of honor.
Well met, friends. I require passage to see Lord Serenoa.
And who are you? If you want an audience, you'll have to wait behind the rest.
Who else is in this lineup?
That cape, it can't be.
There's no lineup, dude.
You're Sir Maxwell.
Fine.
My lord, Sir Maxwell has returned.
My apologies for my abrupt departure, my lord. Full glad am I to see you have managed without me.
Sir Maxwell, you're alive.
Aye, and none the worse for wear, I hope. It seems fate would have me take up my spear once more.
Where have you been? We all feared the worst.
We all thought you were.
Avlora's fell blow cast me into the river, and its cold embrace washed away my memories, along with my pride. I awoke in a village of kind-hearted folk. I might have stayed there, blissful in ignorance, had news of your exploits not reached them. It was then that old memories stirred, prideful memories, painful memories. My purpose became clear. I must end this war or perish in the attempt. I hope that I have not come too late to make a difference.
Of course not. We would be honored to have you fight by our side. I only hope you can say the same for us, Dawnspear.
That's great. You know what? Little glimmers of hope every now and then. The finest lancer in Glenbrook. Yay. Little bits of hope here and there. Everything's gonna be fine, dude. We have Sir Maxwell. He's not dead. That was very important. See what's going on at the Twins Gate? No? Okay. How does that make my mind as Wolfort heads to the source? Can I help with the Duchess? Good question. Once again, this whole run, I kind of wish we learned more about Esros, but we just seem to be dodging them in every choice.
Archduke Gustadov, we received word from Wolfort.
I never seem to choose the choice that ever lets me go and see what's going on with Esros. So I really don't
XM's
know
forces
them
have crossed
well.
into their domain.
So they know of the soul crystals.
Although, we
Then
know
battle
what
is
their
inevitable.
main things are. So
How will House Wolf
enough.
respond?
I should think it obvious they will attack us. Their lord is one of the Saintly Seven, after all.
I am unconvinced of that. Perhaps they will offer us salt crystals to secure our alliance.
See, you think that, right?
To what end?
You think that.
History is
that
changing
would be
around
a choice
us,
that would have
so to
been a choice that we
If
could have
Wolfort
chosen.
wishes to guide the shape our future takes, he will need all the help he can get. He can choose to submit to Hyzant's tyranny, or work with us to bring freedom to our land. Or he might choose to take advantage of the chaos.
Yeah, this guy's smart. You even thought of that.
Will you follow in Lady Orlea's footsteps, Frederica? Somehow I doubt it.
Your pardon, Archduke.
You doubt it?
It's
You doubt
nothing.
us?
I let my thoughts wander too far. Whatever path Wolford chooses, they all lead to war. Ready our forces.
This has been a super interesting episode. So much is happening. Chapter 17 is like the big chapter here. Alright. How goes it? Idor gathers the Sades to discuss how Hyzant will deal with both the mines and hospitals. Weren't you already discussing that last time? You're discussing it more. Of course. Lots of talk, no action. Except for the action you're taking.
Minister
to send
Exham's
one
forces
guy.
ought to be crossing into Wolfort's domain any moment
That's right,
now.
that's right. Minister Exham was the one who sent us to the army. Okay, you're doing something. But you notice this, there's supposed to be 7 Saintly 7, right? Oh, I guess one of them is the Hierophant. We've never seen. I'm not even sure if there's a person. I think there is a person in there. I'm not so sure if they're actually communicating with the goddess though, or if that person in there is just making up stuff. But why? Why would you spend your life? Maybe there is a goddess, because I can't imagine anyone just deciding they're going to sit in a curtained room forever, and that's going to be your job, and sure, you have all the resources in the world, but all you do is just sit there. Okay, but I guess they're one of the 7, and then there's Serenoa and Exile. So, that's 7. Okay, fine.
Will it be war, or will they relinquish the salt crystal deposits without resistance?
I think we have no cause for worry. Minister Serenoa is one of our saintly 7 after all.
Nevertheless, we cannot be certain what he will choose. Whoever controls those salt crystals controls the future of all Norzelia. Knowing that, you truly think he would give them up without a fight?
Minister Lila is right. He may very well decide to ally with Asfrost and rise up against us. I made
So both
sure
boosted
Minister
up and the
Exam
77
understood he may very well be
have
marching
actually
to war.
ran through
Wolford
3
is a
options
prideful
that we came
house.
up with,
If we
and
apply too much
can
pressure on
decide which one
them, they
we
may
can
hold
do.
out simply out of principle.
Honestly, they are more trouble than they are worth. It almost makes me wish we could turn them and Esfrost against each other.
That is something else to consider. We could even promise them the Roselle's freedom, should they triumph over the duchy.
A fine proposition. The best outcome would be to have them destroy Esfrost for good.
And in doing so, they'd be destroyed themselves. Surely you would not wish for such slaughter.
Soft hearts have no place here, Minister Camsell. We
What
fight
does
for
your goddess
control of
have to
all
say?
Norzelia.
And we must fight
Just
to
to
win.
destroy all the non-believers.
Our troops will need Elfric,
Maybe.
Minister Lila.
Maybe.
See that they have it.
So much for
Of
equality,
course.
right?
I'll see to any final adjustments at the Ministry of Medicine.
People home for anxious and returning after 7 events. A relief no familiar face appears. It's Benedict? Please say it's Benedict. If it's anybody else besides Benedict, we're in trouble. Good, okay, Benedict. Thank goodness.
What? You want us to leave the city?
You couldn't have told us this sooner? I've got a
I'm
family
sorry.
to worry about.
Yeah, that's true.
I understand I ask much of you, but a bloody battle
The
is
army is
nigh.
literally at our door, and
You
I don't
must
think
be ready
this-
to
this-
evacuate
this town
if
has
it
been
comes
the
to it.
subject of battle many times
But
already.
where's our lord? Won't he protect us?
Lord Serenoa marches toward an even fiercer conflict than what we face here. He left me to protect the people of Wolford in his stead. I ask that you trust in our
You can
house
decide what you
and
want
do
to
as I
think of that
bid.
leadership decision, but in the moment, it's about, do you want to live or die?
All right then.
I suppose we'll start packing.
Sorry.
Your mastery at matters of war has kept us safe this long. If you say we need to leave, that's what we'll do.
You have my thanks. I've one more thing to ask of you. Something I'd like each of you to make.
What is that? He wants me to make something. I'm gonna see what that is later. Save your game? Yeah, I'm gonna save the game. Alright. I'm just gonna check to make sure there's no part 3 to this. But this was a very, very long chapter. And it was very important. This is the decisive chapter. This is the chapter that, you know what, it's just like you've been waiting for this to happen since the beginning of the game. The decision to end all decisions. But yeah, let's see if I'm just gonna double check to make sure there's no part 3. Because sometimes there's a part 3. Once in a while there's a part 3. Chapter 15 and a part 3. So what are the odds chapter 17 and a part 3?
Concealed aboard Claris's consortium cart, Serenoa and his retinue slip out of the Wolfort domain past Exham's forces and make for the Byzantian capital.
Look at that, the way we swapped. It's so sneaky of us.
As soon as they arrive, they review the particulars of their plan.
Okay, okay, chapter 18. Alright. End this. Okay, but yeah, okay, that's the next chapter. Good.
Scouts are reporting the Byzantian army has crossed into the Wolfort domain.
Don't worry, I'm sure we'll be fine. Anyway, that wasn't... You know what, I also like... What I like about this game compared to, like, say, Fire Emblem, is that they don't force there to... Well, Fire Emblem is a game that the focus is more on the tactical strategy part, and so, of course, the battles are more important. With this game, it's more based on the narrative and the decision-making and the convictions and the play on how do you make choices as a human being. So, I do appreciate in this game over Fire Emblem that they don't force there to be a battle every chapter. Because that gives us more, I feel like it gives more time to really think and kind of digest the decisions we're making. And so it just doesn't fit to have a battle there. I'm glad they don't do it just for the sake of having one every chapter. But that's definitely because there's a different focus. This is why this game is not exactly like Fire. It's very different, actually. Anyway, a lot happened. This is a pretty that chapter was definitely the chapter that the root defining chapter. Whatever happens now happened because of what happened in that chapter. And I'm happy that we were able to come to a decision and nobody had to die in our party. Maybe lots of other bad things are going to happen now. Like I said, we're choosing the consequences more than we're choosing the desired outcome. With that in mind, alright, the next chapter, we're gonna start putting this plot into motion and hoping that it all wasn't for nothing. But even if it wasn't for nothing, I feel better knowing that our intention is in the place of empathy and compassion and wanting to make things right for people who've never even had a chance to fight back. Even if it all fails, at least I'll know that we tried our best. So, thank you all for watching this very, very eventful episode of Triangle Strategy. One of the best, I think, yet. That was a good chapter. See you in the next one. Alright, take care, everyone. And just think about all the choices you make in your life, too. That's what I'm going to be doing.